50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
Ah, Call of Duty 4. A game that gave us such iconic lines as
switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading.
And
Knife the watermelon.
so I recently hit 10th Prestige in Black Ops 6 through totally legitimate methods, I promise. And I had a hankering for some nostalgia. Basically the game that I grew up playing. It was a simpler time. There were 3 kill streaks, 3 operator skins, and about 25 guns. There were no microtransactions. There was no Nicki Minaj or Seth Rogen crossovers. It was a beautiful time, filled with raging over players using Juggernaut, raging over players using stop and power M16s, which are still bullshit and in the game to this day, and raging because you died to my favourite perk in the game, Martyrdom. The perk that allows you to drop a live grenade when you die, and if you combine that with such amazing mechanics as using the increased explosive damage perk, well then you have a recipe for some fun. But one thing I noticed from my playthrough was that the game still bangs today. It's still amazing. If you can get past the graphics, if you can get past the fact there's no insane movement tech or anything like that, it's actually really good fun. Yeah, okay, I did have to mod the game slightly to be able to play it in 2025 because it uses a outdated version of an anti-cheat called Punkbuster, which nothing uses anymore, and I'm pretty sure it was discontinued. But other than that, it works perfectly fine. Everything is still there, including some of the players that obviously haven't stopped playing since 2007 because it kept getting beamed through a wall, or multiple walls, depending on your outlook on life. But it was great. I was having an absolute blast running around shooting things, dropping mad kill streaks, some of which you'll see in the footage here. And it was generally just a really nostalgic trip down memory lane in a time before skill-based matchmaking. I think that's probably where COD has fallen off in the last kind of few years. Because skill-based matchmaking has not only ruined Black Ops 6, but it's ruined competitive gaming. And it's also ruined that distinction between casual game modes and ranked. If you want to go and sweat 12 hours a day, go play ranked. Like, why are you playing normal multiplayer? Yeah, okay, you might want to play with your friends, but still, like, the game shouldn't punish other players for having a good game. If I performed in Black Ops 6 like I performed in this game, I would immediately be put up against the full team of Optic, and I would have had absolutely no chance. Maybe I shouldn't be comparing the two games because they're from completely different generations. Not only console generations or whatever, but also guaranteed if you're watching this video, you probably haven't played COD 4. And I highly suggest you go and do it because it'll show you why your dad has insane skills with a sniper rifle on really short range maps. He might not be able to slide cancel and corner jump and things like that, but he can still kick ass. Shout out all the dads out there. This game is great for a variety of reasons though. It was the first COD game to introduce customizable loadouts with perks like Stop and Power, Martyrdom and Dead Silence, which allowed you to really tailor your loadout for your playstyle. We wouldn't have loadout drops in Warzone without it. We wouldn't have Call of Duty as a franchise without it, to be perfectly honest. This was the one that really laid the groundwork. The kill streak system was based purely on performance, so there were no death streaks. You had UAVs, airstrikes, and helicopters, and they added kind of strategy and reward to having a strong performance in the game. You were actually actively rewarded for doing well in the game instead of punished. The XP leveling system was absolutely revolutionary. It brought that RPG edge to the first-person shooter genre for pretty much the first time. I can't actually recall any other FPS game that did this, but it made it addictive and rewarding to keep playing the game. And the maps were so tight and clean. The maps were balanced perfectly. Maps like Crash, Crossfire and Backlot encouraged the really skillful and fast-paced combat. And the best thing was, you could play those maps any way you wanted. If you wanted to sit back with a sniper with the boys with a claymore behind you, you could. If you wanted to run in, guns blazing, and murder an entire team from behind, you could do that too. Even the single player was insane. Missions like All Gillied Up and Death from Above, they're still remembered for their tension, their atmosphere, and their variety. Does anyone remember the nuke scene from Call of Duty 4? It was absolutely brutal and the first of its kind. The game even has an execution scene where a terrorist is essentially taken to the map showdown and shot in public. It's kind of crazy. You would never get away with this kind of thing nowadays. I mean, the campaign was tight. It was only 6 or 7 hours, but man, were those 6 and 7 hours amazing. The gunplay was super smooth. The hit detection, the recoil, and the weapon feel were top tier for the time. The graphics, while limited nowadays, were actually really impressive for 2007. It was probably one of the only games that ran at 60 FPS on consoles, which is an incredible feat considering it probably had as much computing power as an iPhone nowadays. And this was actually the first game of its kind to feature a modern setting. Every other FPS before this, or every other Call of Duty at least, was based on the World War II era, which was then beaten to death for a while and then brought back and then hated and then put back in the past where it belongs. The cultural impact was incredible as well. It was basically one of the first really good, convincing Xbox 360, Xbox Live titles, apart from maybe Halo 3, which was absolutely incredible as well. I might do a video on that if you guys are interested. But it basically was super influential and really changed the gaming scene when it first came out, and still continues to influence it to this day. So many shooters nowadays are Modern Warfare, and I don't just mean time era wise. You can actually tell by playing games like Battlefield, Delta Force, Escape from Tarkov, even Counter-Strike to a point. You can tell that they've taken influence from this era. The golden era of video games, basically. A time before microtransactions. A time where gameplay was king. It almost feels like gameplay is like a second thought nowadays. Graphics come first, monetization comes second, multiplayer comes third, and then maybe gameplay is considered. Especially with games like X-Defiant, Black Ops 6, Battlefield 2042, even Oblivion Remastered to a point, although the gameplay in that game is top tier. But with technologies like DLSS being king nowadays, developers don't really have to optimize their games too well, and as long as they have enough microtransactions into the game and make the gameplay loop addicting but not necessarily good, they can just sit back and reap the rewards passively. People will play the game, they will buy their skins, and they will just keep playing. It's really predatory, and I'd really like to see the end of it. I'm not quite sure what happened to the games industry, but I'd really like to see them go back to this kind of video game. Even on launch, this thing was 100% playable. That might sound like an absolutely mind-blowing statement for you guys. In a day where games are released, there's a day one patch that may or may not fix everything. Or worse, the game releases, stays in beta for 8 years, doesn't actually release into a full game. Escape from Tarkov, I'm looking at you. This game was finished on day one. We got one more DLC after launch, and it was a map pack that contained 3 maps, and that was it. No extra content, no nothing. Then Modern Warfare Remastered came along and put everything that we hate about Call of Duty into the game, including microtransactions, loot boxes that contain weapons for some reason, and it all went downhill from there. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like and subscribe button. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on it in the comments, whether you played the game, what you think the influence of the game was on the modern gaming scene. My name's been Lions, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.